Hello, welcome to Intro to Tree, Aburokyire Tree. Aburokyire is a Ghanaian word for abroad. So Aburokyire can be United States, North America, South America. If you're in China, if you're in the UK, if you're in New York like me, Aburokyire, you are abroad, you are not in Ghana. So this is Tree 101 from someone who learned tree abroad. I spoke tree for the first 7 years of my life when I lived in Ghana. But most of my life, most of the trees that I learned how to speak, my understanding, my reading, it was all courtesy to my mommy and daddy in New York City. My name is Tree Madame for the purpose of our class. So a little bit about me. Like I said, I was born in Ghana. We moved to New York when I was about 7 years old. And the main rule inside of our house was no English allowed. Now, I know a lot of people, your parents might have said that. My parents meant it. There was no English. If you spoke English, no one would reply to you. It would just be like cricket, cricket, cricket. And so that really forced both my brother and I to keep learning Chi, to speak Chi. And then I have to give a big shout out to the church that I grew up in, French Ghana, because in French Ghana, the time that I came, there were so many Ghanaians coming into New York at that time, and they were a little bit older than me. So most of my formative, like really tree years, the songs that I learned, learning to read my Bible in tree, memorizing things in tree, it was all done at church. It was home and church. And even when I was in high school, I went to high school in Harlem. There were so many Ghanaians in my school. Tree, 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 tree. So I love tree. I love being Ghanaian. My dad always said, it does not matter where you live, how long you are out of the country. We are Ghanaian. We are Ghanaian. We are Ghanaian. Who means you? Yes, is or are Ghanaian, Ghanaian. Oh yeah, Ghanaian. You are Ghanaian. So that was just ingrained in my upbringing. And we are here today because about 6 years ago, during the pandemic, my niece, she started speaking at about 8 months old. And I promise you, all of this background is very important and it's going to explain why I think I'm the right person to teach you this language or to introduce this language to you, even though I never learned it at school. So my niece started talking at about 8 years old, 8 months old, ooh, 8 months old. And when she was maybe a year and a half, I went on WhatsApp, I went on Instagram, I went on Facebook, and I was looking for, and she was speaking Tree, Bronx baby, Ghanaian child, Tree speaker. And I wanted to find toddlers, other kids for her to play with because she was full sentences before she was 2 years old. So I posted, I'm looking for people, children who speak Tree between age, I think I said like age like 4 and 6 to play with my niece so that she can have friends who speak Tree. And the reason was because one day the whole family were in our apartment and this little girl, like a year, maybe a year and a half, randomly out of nowhere, made Tree Pum and Penny for Casa, which is I will not speak Tree anymore. It is an adult language. And we looked at her like, excuse me? What do you mean you will not speak Tree anymore? It's an adult language. And I think collectively, between my husband and me, my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, we all realized she'd never seen children speak Tree. She'd seen her parents, she'd seen her auntie and uncle, she'd seen her grandparents. You know, she was on Zoom church because again, COVID, she'd heard the pastor speaking Tree, she heard the adults speaking Tree, but she had never seen someone her size speak Tree. So I went on social media, I said, Carmen, going to find children for her to play with in Tree, and I came up empty. I came up empty. Oh. There was there were two families who reached out to me who said their children speak Tree. They would love to meet my niece, but when school started, they wanted them to practice English and not speak Tree. So that started my journey of I need those of us in the diaspora to teach our children Twi to the level of comfort so they can be just as comfortable in Twi as they are in English, or if you're in France, in French, if you're in Germany, German, wherever you live in the world. Because I would not fault my niece and could imagine her in a place where she gets older. And if none of her peers were comfortable in Twi and none of her peers understood Twi, why would she speak it? And so I said, for her sake, I'm going to start writing and I'm going to start teaching. And so most of it is geared toward children. But then I realized people my age who are now having children, we need the language lessons too. So if you have kids and you want them to join, welcome. If you are here for yourself, welcome. I'm going to use English to teach you Chi so that you can be more comfortable with the accent. I'm just here to have fun. I did not go to school for this. I'm sharing from my experience. Practice, practice, practice. There are three things you will need for this class: a mirror, a quiet place, and someone to practice with who will be receptive. A mirror and a quiet place so that you can look at your teeth and your tongue and also listen to the sounds as we're making, as we're learning along. Okay, this is a lot of preliminaries, but I feel like it was important to lay the groundwork because there are a lot of people who have contacted me saying, oh, there are more options here, oh, this and that. Please, this is for diaspora Ghanaians or non-Ghanaians interested in Twi who want to learn it from someone who learned it abroad. Okay. Ghana, a beautiful country, 31 million plus people who live there. You might be here, you might not know where Ghana is. Please pick the map of Africa. I need you to know where Ghana is. I need you to know where Burkina Faso is, know where Togo is, know where Cote d'Ivoire is, and know where Nigeria is. Bare minimum. Let's study our African map. So we are in West Africa, and there are more than 70 languages and dialects in the country of Ghana. And the language that Twi is under is called Akan. So Twi is actually not a language if you're going strictly by the scientific definition of language. I'm going to call it a language while we're in this class. But if you ever meet someone who wants to be very, very, very proper and they say that Twi is not a language, it's a dialect, they are correct. Like American English, dialect, AAVE, dialect, South African English, dialect. Like there are so many dialects. The Twi so Akan is the language and Twi is the dialect. And underneath the Akan family, there are actually, what is that? Like eight or nine. So we have Asante Twi dialect. If you have Pim Twi dialect, those are the two that I speak and that I read. Fante dialect, that's three. Buno, another dialect under Akan. Achim, fifth dialect. Kweu, sixth dialect. Wasa, seventh. Oh, they're eight. And Zima, that's eight. So all of these, from what I know, they are mutually interchangeable. You're supposed to be able to, in theory, understand across. I understand, can read, can speak. I can see tree, a captain tree. If you speak Fancy slowly, I can do Fancy as well. The rest of them, I don't even know if I've ever heard them to know if they are, mutually. It's not interchangeable. I think it's mutually intelligible. I think that's the word. But you are here for Asante slash Akatunchi. I say slash because, again, I use them like this. So, your first actual words. We're starting with please and thank you. Please and thank you. You might notice that the Ghanaians in your life speak in English or probably this transfers to other languages. I'll be referring to English a lot because that is the second language that I'm using to teach this language. If I were using French or I was using Spanish, then I would be referring to those. Okay. So you might notice that the Ghanaians in your life, they say please a lot in English, and sometimes it feels out of context. The reason is in Chi, mepacho, mepacho is the word for please, and we use it very, very, very often. It is built in the language and culture in such a way that if someone is saying, how are you doing? It's not just I'm fine, please, I'm fine. Pass me this thing, please, here you go. How are you? Do you want food? Please, no, I'm okay. Like literally anything. So let's start with teaching you how to say please. It is culturally relevant. It is one of those words within the culture that is not as strong in the diaspora, but it is a secret weapon. If you use it, especially with any adult, they will be impressed. Even if Mipachel at this level is the only tree word that you know, use it. Even if it's the only one. Literally. Mipachel, can I please have some water? Mipachel, I'm doing very well, thank you. Mipachel, pass me the book. I don't even know. Mipachel, I'm going home. I'll see you tomorrow. Like anything. So, me, pa, chel. The full phrase is me, pa, wo, chel. Me means me. Wo means you. Me, pa, wo, chel. So it's literally say I am pleading with you. Me, pa, wo, chel. Me, pa, wo, chel. Now this is where the mirror comes in handy. Me, pa, wo, chel. Me. Now when you say me, your tongue is touching the top like part of your teeth. Like right here. Me pa wo chow. And so you can either say me pa wo chow or me pa chow. It means the same thing. Now the chow, I want you to say the English word cheese, cheese, cheese. Again, stand in the mirror. And this, the mirror part that I will reinforce in every lesson. If you do not care about the accent at all, you can ignore the mirror part. The purpose of me referencing the mirror is for you to visually see, and so it's a mirror in a quiet place, and hear what's happening when you're saying the English words, and then we're transferring that into tree. So if you stand in the mirror, you say cheese, cheese. I want you to really look and see where is your tongue saying the cheese part of cheese, and how much air are you blowing when you say cheese, cheese, chow, chow, cheese, cheese, chow, or even closer, chew, chow, chow, chew, chew. And this is important because there are two in chi. There's the ch in chi, and then there's the ch of chow, and there are two different sounds. So today we're doing chow, chow. So cheese, cheese, mepacho, 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 mepacho. I'm pleading with you. Mepacho, mepacho, mepacho. And right next to please, we have thank you. Medase. And it's similar, right? You have mepacho. I'm pleading with you. Medao ase. I am thanking you. Me da wo ase. So you can either say, and you might hear, you hear medase, medase, medawase, medawase, me da wase, medase, medawase. I'm thanking you. Mepacho, I am pleading with you. Medawase. I am thanking you. Mepacho, I'm pleading with you. Mepacho, medase, medase, mepacho. So literally, Mepacho, good morning. Mepacho, how are you doing? Mepacho, tell your mother I said hi. Mepacho, I got you. Mepacho, you can let that be your word. And then, of course, when someone does something, as you would say thank you in any language, now you know medase, medase. So moving on, we're going to do our greetings now. You see someone for the first time, it's morning, it's evening, it's afternoon, you greet. Machin, machin, machin is good morning. So I want you to think about what we just learned. Medase, thank you. Medawo ase. Mepacho, please. Mepao acho. Machin, good morning. Memao ache. So I'm showing you the long form and the short form and these are thinking. So machin, good morning. Memao ache. I bid you good morning. Me means me. Ma give. Wo means you. Ache in this context morning. Memao ache. So you're saying good morning or I'm giving you good morning. The good morning is directly for you. Memao ache. Memawo ache. Mache. Now, if you see more than one person and you want to say I'm good morning to two, three, a whole group, so you have wo means you, singular. Mo, M-O, means you, plural. So there's, if I see just you and it's one-on-one, mema wo action. If I see both of you and I want to greet two, three, four, five at the same time, mema mo action, mema mo action. And both short forms are machin, good morning, machin, good morning. Memawo ache, mache, memawo ache, mache, chin, 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 machin, machin, good morning, machin, machin, good morning. So if machin is good morning and the long form is memawo ache, then what would the long form of maha, which is good afternoon, be? Maha, mimau, aha. Good afternoon. Maha, good afternoon. Mimau, aha, good afternoon. So we have maha, good afternoon. Machin, good morning. Majo, good evening, which is also mimau ajo, mimau ajo, majo. Now, we're building our vocabulary, our comprehension, our understanding. So, one thing that helps me remember which one between these, actually, it took a long time for me to remember the difference between mache, maha, majo. And so, one day I'll go backwards. Anajo is night or evening. So once I kept that in mind, I said, okay, anajo is evening. So therefore, majo is the one for good evening. Anajo, evening or night. Majo, nemawo ajo, good evening. Maha is good afternoon. Hain is the word for light. And you say good afternoon to people when the sun is shining and it's bright light. So hain is the word for light. Maha, good afternoon. And then mache, good morning. Adichie is like morning. Adiache, it is morning. And so in keeping that in mind, that's what helps me to remember. So in a very short amount of time, we know Nepachel, please. Medase, thank you. Machin, good morning. Maha, good afternoon. Majo, good evening. Me means me. Wo means you. Mo means you, plural. Now, one of the fascinating things, or my favorite things about Chi, is how the culture and the language are so intertwined. You might hear often, or you've at least heard once in your life, it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to raise a child. Community, community, community. The Tree language, the Akan language, we built it in so much that even if an individual's actions are not respectful, an individual does not care about the community, the language does. And we see this in how you reply to good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a bonus one that I'll tell you after. So, when someone says good morning to me in English, I reply with good morning. But in Chi, when someone says good morning, ma chi, my reply depends on the age and the gender of the person. So I'm going to use myself as an example. If you look at me, if you meet me in person or on Zoom when we have our study hours, and I say ma chi or ma ha or ma jo, doesn't matter which greeting I give you. Oh no, but did somebody call me? Oh no, it's still working. And it's still recording. Listen, I'm telling you. Hey, technology is against us for this class, but we will not let it die. Okay, let's continue. So in English, hmm, excuse me, I apologize for that. Bad joke. Forgive me. So, in English, if someone says good morning to me, I would say good morning back. But in Chi, it depends on the age and the gender of the person. So using me as an example, if I say good morning to you, and you believe that I am old enough to be your mother, your auntie, or your grandmother, your reply to me is Yana. Yana. Yana is the response that you give if the person who said good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you is old enough to be your mother, your grandmother, or your auntie. If the person is old enough to be your father, your uncle, or your grandfather, you say yeja. So yana and na is another way to say mother. And so it's built into the language, the culture of when I am responding to good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, I am effectively saying, yes, my mother, good morning. Yes, my father, good morning. Yeah, if the person, so I'll start again. So if I'm old enough, if I'm greeting you and I'm old enough to be your mother, your grandmother, or your auntie, yeah, yes, mother. If I'm old enough, or rather, if I'm around your age and we could be peers, we could be siblings, we could be friends, yeah. So, and na, another way to say mother. Nya is how we say sibling. Yeah, nya. Doesn't matter the gender. Yeah, nya is purely based on age. If we are peers, we could be mates. Yeah, nya. Now, if you're talking to a man and he greets you and he's old enough to be your father, your grandfather, your uncle, yeah, ja. And ja is another word for father. Yeah, na. Yes, my mother. Yeah, nya. Yes, my sibling, my peer. Yeah, ja. Yes, my father. If the person greeting you is young enough to be your child, if you could be the mother or the father or the uncle, the grandmother, the auntie, yoba. Oba is child. Yes, my child. I find this so cool in both our culture and our language that I cannot say good morning. I cannot reply to your good morning without me acknowledging that you could be my mother or you could be my father or you could be my sibling or you could be my child. And so I really find it fascinating because it sort of like brings it takes a village, it brings it all together. So the bonus lesson for you is when someone welcomes you in Chi, you do not say thank you. You reply to the welcome with one of these. So the Chi word for welcome is akwaba. Akwaba. Kwa, kwa, sing, quick, quiet. Actually, quiet. So if you stand in the mirror and you say the English word quiet and you focus on the right here, there's a muscle that moves here, quiet. And the air that you're pushing down to say the English word quiet, that's the same sound that you're making in aquaba, aquaba. So if you say quiet, 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 and you're looking in the mirror and then you say aquaba, and that same muscle and the air is not the same, those of us who are hearing it, we're probably not going to hear it the same. Again, that's why the mirror is important. So aquaba, welcome. And when someone says aquaba to you, you look at them and you have to say either yena, yeja, yenya, or they could be, if you could be their mother or their father, yoba. Okay? So in most other languages that I'm aware of, again, if someone says welcome to me in English, I say thank you because you're welcoming me. But in Chi, again, if someone is welcoming you, omo mawo akwaba. Omo is they, them, like plural. Yes, they is plural. They. So if people are giving you, are welcoming you, omo mawo akwaba. Omo is they, ma again is give, like me mawo achin. I give you good morning. Omo mawo. So omo they, ma give, wo is you. Omo mawo akwaba. They're giving you akwaba. So when people are welcoming you, omo mawo akwaba, you say either yena, yeja, yenya, yoba. And I think that's probably higher on the list of underused responses. Like it's the correct response, but I feel that not enough families, even when they're teaching their children tree, even when the children speak tree, like take enough time for that specific thing because it does matter. It really does. So let's continue. And we will do. So we have you are moving. If this feels too fast, please let me know. It usually this lesson will feel fast. I think maybe the next two will feel fast, and then it will definitely slow down. I've taken such a long time to get this on YouTube, and so that's part of why it's a little different. And I'm using the presentation, but in future ones, I'll be using movements. When we do body parts, when we building our vocabulary. But please let me know if this feels too fast. Okay, so how are you doing? We are going to learn more than what is on this page. Most of what you will learn with me will not be written down, and that is on purpose. Two reasons. The main reason being, I want you to be comfortable hearing, understanding, just retaining without seeing the words. Because most of your interaction with tree is not going to be written tree. It's going to be oral. You'll be hearing it in music. You'll be hearing it in your house. You hear it on the street if you go to Ghana. You will, media, like you will hear it. So I need you to be comfortable hearing and understanding versus seeing it on paper. And part of it is also because in many cases, there's a difference between written tree and spoken tree. And so this is really going to be an oral class. That being said, I'm here to support you. Oh, and so that was the first reason. And the second reason is I am a much stronger tree speaker and reader than I am a tree writer. And so the amount of time it would take me to really transcribe everything and put everything down on paper, hi, when that is not the purpose of the class, it would take a lot of time. And so it's my time plus limitation. Plus the purpose is really for you to listen and to be comfortable speaking. Anyway, let's get back to the class. Exercise, how are you? Exercise, or really exercise is more, it is how are you, but wo to say is more how are you doing? Because wo, what does wo mean? I think I've said it like 5 times at this point. Wo means you. Me means me or I. Okay. Exercise, how are you? Exercise, how are you? Wo to say. So things are cut, and this happens in every language. Wo to say. Hu is short for Hunam. Well, Hunam is like body, right? So when I'm saying Wuhu to say how are you, from head to toe, how are you? Wuhu to say because Ghana for we care. Wuhu yeah. Tree is very, very, very tonal. Another reason why the mirror is important because your tone can be the difference between are you asking me a question, are you telling me what to do, or are you disrespecting me? So tone is very important. And it's you usually know that it's a question because it's slightly ticked up, like higher pitch in at like on the final word, the final syllable. So how are you? At to say, we want to say another. How are you doing? We want to say, yes. Are you okay? Yes. Nyama to say, nyama to say. That one. When we do the diphthongs and the digraphs, I'll give you stronger English words to help get the but how are you? At to say, well, what to say? How are you doing? What's not on this page? Boko dia, boko dia. That's one of my favorites. Boko dia is like, is everything okay? All good? You good? Are you alright? Boko dia. It's another form of how are you doing? Boko dia. So you have exercise, eh. Think of is literally like enter, enter. The is enter. Exercise, exercise. Wo to say, wo like wood, wo, wo. Hmm, hmm, to say. Exercise, wo to say, wo yes. Are you okay? Are you good? Wo yes. So think of so yeah is good or okay, but it also depends on the context because it doesn't always mean that. But that is true in many other languages. Anyway, yes. So you might want to use yes if like maybe if you know somebody has not been feeling well, you can use it regardless. But if so, particularly somebody's not feeling well, if I know that maybe you haven't been okay, yes, then I can ask that because you've been sick and you're getting better. Nyoma to say, nyoma to say. So N mm, like nice. So think of the English word nice, and you want to again use your hand, say nice, and just feel the vibration as you're saying nice. And that's the same vibration of Nyama to say, Nyama to say, Nyama to say. Nyama to say, how are things? And then Boko dear, all good? Is everything okay? Boko dear. And so that can either be a greeting of, I see you, has been a long time. Boko dear, how are things going? Boko dear, very general. To I'm in the living room. I hear kukre kukre, something fell in the kitchen. Hey, boko dear, like you good over there? Like that, right? So boko dear. So for all of these, eye is acceptable. Eye, etisang, eye, wuhutisang, eye, uhuye, eye, and your matisang, eye, boko dear, eye. However, this is an excellent place, amazing place for you to slide in mepacho. Etusang mepacho eye. Wuhu to sang mepacho eye or mepacho mehuye. Wuhuye mepacho mehuye. Nyoma to sang. I'm looking like I want to say what I would like normally say, but we'll get there. That's why I keep staring at the screen. Okay. And nyoma to sang mepacho nyoma yes. Boko dear, Nepacho Boko. So Boko dear, all good. Boko, yes, all good. And Boko is like calm, like all good, all calm. So if I'm asking you, is everything okay? Is everything calm? You just like, yeah, calm. Boko. Now, culturally speaking, and this could be just the Ghanaians that I am around, and I'm around a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot of Ghana for New York City. In addition to, so actually, in addition to, you can slide in Mepachel Mehuye, Mepachel Eye. You will find that it is more common to hear by the grace of God, by God's grace, something with God in the responses. So, for example, if someone, and this happened yesterday actually, one of my neighbors, I haven't seen him in a while. So he sees me and he says, Boko dear, and I say, Nyamiadum, by God's grace. And that's it. I didn't even say, Nyamiadum Boko, Bipacho, Nyamiadum, anything, Nyamiadum, yeah, it's just Nyamiadum. Because built into the culture, if someone asks me how I'm doing, it's more like natural, just more tradition common, that's the word. Very common in Tree to hear to someone like that where exercise nyamiadum mehuye. So if you're not sliding in mepacha mehu is nyamiadum mehuye or you just nyamiadum by the grace of God. Because if you're not okay, you wouldn't say by the grace of God I'm on my deathbed. That's a bit morbid. Mepacha, mepacha. So that's another, just like culturally speaking, that it's very common for you to hear Nyamiado Mehuye, my dad's favorite, Oba Adie no Ada Roma, Oba Adie, the creator, Obo Adie, Obo Adie. If you are around Ghanaians in any sort of religious or church context, Nyame means God. I'm sure you've heard it or in music and songs. Nyame. Another word for God, Trediampon. Trediampon. Obo Adie, the creator. Obo Adie. So that's my dad. Like so by the grace of the creator, Obo or because of the creator, Obo Adie no Ada Roma. Obadiah Nadaroma. So it's like because of, so if you wanted to or more like it's because of, but also thanks to. So we have Nyamiadum, and you could leave it right there by the grace of God. It's just saying, oh, Nyamiadum. If you're feeling, you can say the long word, Obadiah Nadaroma, by the grace of the Creator, thanks to the Creator. And then we have sliding in the mipacho mehuye, mipacho eye, mipacho nyoma ye, nyoma things, nyoma things, pacho nyoma ye. Boko dear, boko. Ani means yes, debi means no. So you can also say, if someone say, Wohuye, mpacho ane. Yes, I'm good. Ane. Boko dear, mpacho ane. Or boko. Or nyamiadum. Or another one you might hear, iradiadum. Irade, again, another word for God. So what I want you to practice is one, practice you saying and to say, wohu to say, wohuye, wohuye, which is different from wohuye. Can you hear the difference? Close your eyes. Wohuye, question. Wohuye, statement. Wohuye, question. Wohuye, statement. Now, until you get comfortable with the tone, you can almost always safely add ana to the end so that it's very clear that it is a question and not a statement. Wuhuye ana, wuhuye ana. So it's like if wuhuye is are you good? Ana is really emphasizing it of like wuhuye ana, like are you really good? Wuhuye ana. Are you good? Versus that way, there's no if someone said wuhuye ana, there's no question that it is a question. It's not a statement. They're not saying woohoo yet, like you are good. But I do want you to, keep in mind tone, slightly ticks up if it's a question, and more woohoo yet, more even balance if it is a statement. At to say, woohoo to say, woohoo yet, nyama to say, boko dear, mipacho eye, mipacho mehuye. Mepacho nyomaye. Ane, me, yes. Ane boko. Nyamiadum eye. Nyamiadum mehuye. Nyomaye. Oh, another one I just remembered. So very, very similar to Nyoma to saying how are things. If you wanted to say there's another way that you might hear. Again, this really depends on the Ghanaians that you're around and how diversified their greetings are. Bibia boko, bibia kose, so bibia, biribiara. Woo, that's how it's biribiara. So bibia, so that's the thing. It's written, like if I was to write it down for you, you would read it and say, oh, this is biribiara. It is spelled biribiara, but it's spoken bibia. I don't know who came up with these rules. So bibia kose. Bibia kose. How are all things going? Bibia, so that's another greeting. Bibia kose. Bibia, bibia kose. Or you can say bibia tese. Although I don't, it's grammat like it's accurate to say that, but it's probably less used or people might not have heard that. But BBI, of course, that one. That's another one. And you can say Bibia Boko or so if Bibia Kosa is how are all things going. And the same way you'd be able to say, it's going. Eko Bibia Eko say Eko. So I hope you're seeing, especially if there's a pronoun in it. So if it's wo to say how are you, me who yeah, I am fine. So wo means you and me means me or I. Wo to say me who yeah. Nyoma to say nyoma yeah. Boko dear boko bibia to say bibia yeah. So sometimes the part of your response can be found in the question and the statement and the thing that's being said. Ooh, are you still with me? It gets better, I promise. Okay. So we're actually winding down for today's lesson because I'm not sure how long I've been speaking and it might be a lot for you in one sitting. So common greetings again. So we have Akwaba, welcome. And when someone says Akwaba, do we remember the response? You remembered, yay! Yes. So Akwaba is either Yena, Yeja, Yenya, Yoba, Yena, old enough to be my mother, my grandmother, my auntie, Yeja, old enough to be my father, my uncle, my grandfather, Yenya, you are my peer, my brother, my sister, colleague, Yoba, you are young enough to be my child. Yay! Akwaba, welcome. And those are the responses to Akwaba. Then we have good morning. Machi. Oh wow, I did not notice. I put Akwaba on the English side. Machi, good morning. Nimao Achin, good afternoon. Maha, Nimao Aha, good evening. Majo, Nimao Ajo, how are you? What to say? I am well. Mejor yes. So I'm going to give you a few filler words to help you build, not even a few, just like two or three to help you build a sentence. Okay? Ana means or. Se, if. Obi, somebody. Se, if. Obi, somebody. Can, the same. Se, obi, can, if somebody says. Se, obi, can, if somebody says. Se, obi, can, if somebody says. The obi can akwaba. So, uh, I don't even know if it has a meaning, but you will hear that a lot. You hear me say it a lot where I'll say something and it's almost like it's attached. So obi can akwaba Like if somebody says akwaba, maybe it's a comma. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. The obi can akwaba. If somebody says akwaba, somebody says welcome. Wobejiso, you will respond or you will reply. Wo means you. Be is what you use, like future, like will, like the future. Wobejiso, jiswa is a response. Or like if you're doing a call and response in jiswa is a response, a reply. The obi kan akwaba. If somebody says welcome, wobejiso, you will reply. I hope you're keeping the words in mind. Sɛ obi ka akɔ aba a, wobɛgye so yɛn na anaa yɛn anaa yɛn anaa yɛn Did you understand that whole sentence? Let's say it again. Sɛ obi ka akɔ aba a, wobɛgye so yɛn na anaa yɛn Anaa yɛn nua anaa yɛn ɔba. Sɛ obi ka maakye anaa maadwo anaa maaha, wobɛgye so yɛn na anaa yɛn agya anaa yɛn nua anaa yɛn ɔba. Okay? Nkyia means greeting. Nkyia. Sɛ obi kyia wo na ɔka wo ho, actually that's a bit long. Like if somebody greets you and they say, oh yeah, okay, sorry, let's start this up. Nkyia is greeting. Sɛ is obi somebody. Sɛ obi kyia wo, if somebody greets you, sɛ obi kyia wo, na, so na is and, na obisa wo. Oof, bisa, ask, bisa, ask. Na obisa wo, and they ask you. So we in Chi, so obisa wo, the all the all in obisa wo is the pronoun. So indicating that that person is asking you. So I'm saying se obi, if somebody se obi chiawo, if somebody greets you, na obisawo, and that person asks you, na obisawo, se wuhu to say, ana wuhu ye, ana nyoma to say, ana bibi aboko, ana enyoma ye. I want you to put down, did you understand all of that? That obi chiawo. Remember, chia, Greek, wo means you. That obi chiawo. Na obisawo. Se woho te sɛn. Ana woho yɛ. Ana nneɛma te sɛn. Ana biribi abɔkɔ. Wobɛka ha say be, well, you will say wobɛka, or I can also say wobɛgye so, because we already did that. Wobɛgye so, mepaakyɛw mehu yɛ, anaa mepaakyɛw ɛyɛ, anaa nyame adom, anaa bɔkɔɔ, anaa ɛnneɛma yɛ. So your vocabulary is growing. When we do our next lesson, which will be posted tomorrow, because I'm actually going to continue recording, I will greet you. I will ask you how you're doing. Ooh, let me see. Do I have the name? I don't have the name. So I will greet you and I'll ask you. Oh, I guess I have to do a little bit of it, a little bit of editing, which I didn't want to do. This I don't have. Okay, so in our next lesson, I'm going to welcome you. I'm going to welcome you. I'm going to greet you. I'm going to ask you how you're doing. And then we're going to do what is your name? Where are you from? And then we're going to keep moving and we'll review the vocabulary words that you have learned so far. What I can do is at some point make a list of the words and try to make it available for those of you who are interested. I would love to find the time to actually build something where I'm saying the words and you're seeing the words and you are really hearing it so you can, take it with you and practice. But thank you so much for being here. Let me know if this was too fast and we will just learn and grow together. Mumma bye.